Part 2, confession time. So this is part 2. Part 1 was recorded 2 days ago while I was driving to the courthouse. So before you listen to part 2, I suggest you listen to part 1. And it's only 12 minutes long, so it won't take up too much time. But it'll give you a better insight into where I'm at now and the process of just and it's what this is, part 1 to part 2, in my mind, is an example of a human being processing stuff down to the micro level. And so I do this for myself because talking this out is the best therapy for me. And the side benefit of it is to share with others that need to hear stuff unfiltered, or not coming from a family member or someone who has some sort of angle or investment, or not paying for a therapy session. Talking openly to others is really meaningful. And I can't do it very well all the time. I'm not doing it very well right now, actually, because I'm kind of in an uncomfortable position physically. Honestly, I'm sitting on the floor, kind of hiding. I got to the office early and I was going to do this podcast while driving, but I got to stop doing that. First of all, because the quality sucks. Second, I'm driving and I shouldn't do that. So I'm trying to get this in before tackling a full day's worth of work where I need to get out early and take care of kid stuff. So my time is limited and I'm pressured. I'm always pressured. So if you can hear that in my voice, that's what it is. Endless pressure. So part 1, part 1 was me getting psyched up to do something really, really difficult. Something really difficult that I chose to do by myself. And so I spent that morning, pacing and, starting and stopping, standing, never sitting, only when I was driving. And I got myself so psyched up, and I walked into that courthouse and I demanded what was fair to me. And I did it on my own. And I did it in the face of intense pressure, emotion, and fear. So it took a lot of front loading, let's say. And I have spent months not thinking about this. Kind of on purpose, because it was uncomfortable for several reasons, and one of which I outlined in a podcast that I've since marked as private until all this stuff settles out. And some of you have heard that podcast, and I'll open it up again at some point, but I had to set it as private for now. It's a major issue that I set out to uncover and reveal. And in doing so, I was able to get justice in 2 realms. And so I feel good about that. So going into that situation, front loading all of this energy and getting myself ready to stand firm and to not blow over. It worked. And I did it. And I drove away that day knowing that I did it. And knowing full well about human emotion and about the process of dealing with big events. I knew that day, how I felt that day, was not going to be how I felt the next day. And it was not going to be how I felt the next day, which is today. And so knowing that in the beginning allows space for whatever happens to happen as the fallout comes. And so in knowing this about people in general and knowing this about myself, I'm able to see it in others and to allow it to happen in others, to allow it to happen in my children. And I've learned a lot from my children, watching them process things and, knowing that one emotion does not mean, like, I'm thinking, like, when they get, like, really psyched up over something and I'm like, great, they're happy, good, whew, just dodged a bullet there. Sometimes intense emotions, a lot of times, intense emotions are followed up with the opposite emotion. And so just noticing that over my years of life, accepting it and then expecting it has made things a little bit easier? Question mark? I don't know. I don't know if that means easier. It just means it's less of a surprise. Doesn't mean it's easier. Okay, so I'm getting to my confession. So yesterday was Thursday, the day after my divorce. And I hate that word. Oh my God, I hate that word. I don't know why. The day after a really big life event for many people. I'm not alone. You're not alone. But that doesn't mean it's status quo. And that's where I'd like to just make sure that I'm allowing reactions to something that's common, allowing reactions to play out as they will, and for reactions to be uncommon and unpredictable and not always the same. And just because something is common doesn't mean that you can hang up your feelings, check them at the coat check, and move on because, everyone else we've been here before. This is nothing new. People have gotten through it. So I'll get through it too. Yes, you'll get through it. But don't expect that, or don't be surprised if your reaction and your feelings toward the event don't match somebody else's. Okay, that's where I get irritated, is where, when you don't, I'm not going to get into it. I want to get to my confession because that will give you an example of what I'm talking about. Yesterday, just like any other day after D-Day, I'd go to work, get up and go to work earlier than usual, showed up at 7 and, went through my day and I felt like garbage. I felt tired and everything hurt, but I had to get stuff done. And I'm a doer. I don't like taking days off. I don't like sitting at home. You'll never find me putting my feet up. I mean, maybe at night, once I've completed a full day worth of tasks. But I've got like some sort of like allergic reaction to being still. It's hard. When you're still, things stop and you have to think about them. So if you keep going, you stay ahead of all that stuff. And I realize that. I'm running from feelings and stuff, and that's not always a bad thing. I'm not going to stop and wallow every moment I feel bad, because that doesn't help me get stuff done. Anyway, so I went to work. Everything was fine. But at the end of the day, I had a total meltdown. And it was over a very mundane thing. This is kind of how grief plays out. And please understand that divorce it's awful, and it no matter what the situation is, there's grief because there are memories. There's grief. Even if the two people hated each other, which in this case, that's not the case here. It was just very unfortunate. So I completely lost it over school pictures. So you get the form that comes home with the kids. School pictures. And here I get irritated with school pictures every year, but I do them. But yesterday, school pictures, that was it. That was that last straw. And when it hit that pile of other pieces of straw or the hay or whatever, what is it? The last straw. I don't know. I don't know what the metaphor is. There's got to be a better one. But that was it. That was it. And I lost it. So school pictures set off this cascade of just emotional fallout that did not match the situation. And I knew what was happening and I couldn't stop it, but I just knew what was happening. So school pictures, here's my beef with school pictures. Every year, you're expected, culturally, there's pressure, there's social pressure to get your kids' school pictures done. And these things cost a ton of money. Okay? What my problem is how are families expected, okay? Families with 2, 3 kids in school on free school lunches, how are they expected to pay? Because the package, the least expensive package that gives you anything is $34 each. How's a family of 3 with 3 kids? So a single, let's have an example of a single mom with 3 children who all come home with a form for school pictures. Each package, lowest cost package, is $34. That's $102 on school pictures, which is, first of all, they're unnecessary. Second, they come with this social pressure that you get your kids' school pictures, duh, and then you hand them out to family and friends. That's what you do. $102 for pictures of your children. I don't get it. And these are the things like these, and yeah, last night, my emotions did not match this issue. But so it completely unraveled over